I checked out your website for Rosenheim and I noticed you have plenty of sponsors, and I would like to know, how does the club approach it?
So
Yeah, so welcome back again. If you haven't watched part A and B, so make sure you've watched it. So it's a sit down with Coach Hans from
Germany, still from Germany.
Still from Germany. This segment I wanted us to maybe dissect more into sponsorship, because Kenyan Premier League and both Kenya Women Premier League, we've had a lot of challenges to do with sponsorship and attracting sponsors. Maybe then, before you give us your thoughts, I checked out your website for Rosenheim and I noticed you have plenty of sponsors, and I would like to know, how does the club approach it?
So honestly, I'm not quite the right person to talk about that, because my job is improving players and win football games. So we have our own marketing department and they are responsible to find the sponsors. So I not really know how they do it. I just know as better we play, as better we perform, that easier their job is.
Wow, that's interesting. So meaning the coach has to concentrate on developing the players, and there's a marketing team that works on getting the sponsors.
Yes.
Okay, we need to adapt that. Anyway, guys, so moving to the other question, speaking of youth development, during our last conversation, you mentioned about your team having different coaches for different, even the weak foot coach. Like even a goalkeeper, that is understood, like this goalkeeper trainer, of course. But you mentioned that in every area you have different coaches, and you could get a session whereby you have more than 5 coaches in a morning session. Maybe you can take us through that and tell us what happens.
Yeah, in my academy we have like a specific program that the player have 2 sessions per day. So one is an afternoon team session that's like every other team as well, a whole team training. And then we have individual morning sessions. So that means like the goalkeepers get goalkeeper training, and the other players are divided by their needs. So you have, let's say, 3 players, they need to work on their athletics. Then you have 3 players, they need to work on their weak foot. And then you have 3 players, they need to work on shooting. And so we split them up based on their level, based on what they have to work on. And then they get a coach who train specific this topic with them. So they improve fast as possible.
So how does the balance strike when you're building the team the club as a team and the individual development? You know, the different levels of, I could say, technical ability, or rather different levels of also development. And you mentioned you're under 16, so how do you find like that balance, ensuring you still meet both?
Yeah, I think there's like a shift. As older the player goes, then more it comes to team success, and as younger the player is, that more it is individual. So in an under 11 team, it doesn't care if you win or lose the game. You just try to improve the kids as fast as possible. And if you train like the first team of Bayern Munich, it's most important you win the game, and it's not that important if the player improved or not. So you need to have the 3 points.
Speaking of that, adulthood and youth development, what is one thing that youth coaches have to put in mind, have to do, that adult coaches don't have to do?
The biggest thing is that in adult football, result is everything. In youth football, result is not everything. Development is more important than the result.
So also I remember in our previous conversation, you mentioned about even having under 7 playing different sports. They don't generally have to play football. How does that work?
So we believe in Germany that the football education should start first with a whole body education. So kids, when they're very young, they should play football, they should do gymnastics, they should go swimming, play basketball, whatever they like. And then when they're getting older, you can specialize more into football.
Okay, interesting. So speaking of having different coaches for different roles, so far how many coaches do you have for under 16?
So just for the team training, we just have like two coaches. So that's me and the assistant coach. But then we have like a goalkeeper coach, but he's not only responsible for my team, so he's take over the goalkeepers from many teams. And then we have like an athletic coach. He's also taking responsible for many teams. So we have a lot of coaches. They are specific in one thing, but they are not specific just for one team. So they work with all the teams.
So they work with all the teams. Interesting. So now that you've had, I could say, Kenyan experience of how Kenyan football is being run, or rather how you've seen it on the stadiums, what are the areas you see improvement? Like what areas would Kenyan clubs improve on?
I think there are two things. So first you have to improve the basic of the whole country, the football level. So you need to make sure that children have access to footballs, to have access to pitches. So I often drive somewhere and then I see some kids playing with not a real football. They just kick a bottle or something because they didn't have the access to things. And then you needed to build the structures that these kids early enough get a lot of touches on the ball. So they needed small-sided games. They needed small pitches. So, and then if you bring a big basic, of course, if you educate a lot of players, then some of them will become really good later. So, and for adult football, yeah, I just think the professionalism have to improve a lot. So there's more things how to improve the team. Like I didn't see much doing video analysis or using tactic boards.
Video analysis. Interesting. Oh, you can continue.
Yeah, for me, for example, my under 16 team, we do video analyzing every week. So after the game, we recorded the game, we cut out some things, showed it individual to the players. I want you to do that. And then we show some to the team and show that's what we need to work on and that we want to do next week better. And then we train that, and then the progress is more fast.
So speaking of video analysis, do you also have an analyst for maybe performance data?
So we don't have an own person to do that. So for us, is we recorded the game, and then the assistant coach prepare the clips. So we speak about it, what we want to see, then he cut the clips, and then we send them to the teams. What we also have is that we give our players GPS trackers so that I can know how much they sprint, how much they run. So we also then not have just my feeling, did he run much or did he run less? I also have the fact, what he did in reality. So it's always interesting to know, to get some data that you really know what's going on the pitch.
Okay. So before we finish this off, is there anything maybe you would like the listener to learn from your Kenyan experience or from your football journey?
I just think it's the love of the game. That was the most important thing. And I really feel that Kenyans have that. But maybe they should be like a little bit more relaxed if your team not directly win and not get that angry, because football is a process. And it's not a sprint, it's like a long process.
You've just reminded me that the other day when there was tear gas, you were in the stadium. How did it make you feel?
I would think it was at the Gormaya game, and Gormaya win 3-0, and then the Gormaya supporters start fighting with the police, and I was thinking they should relax a little bit more. You just win 3-0, there's no reason to be aggressive, there's no reason to fight. Just be happy with your team, and even if you lose, no one of the players lose because they wanted to lose. They still try their best, and if it was not successful, keep on working, get better, and as a fan, support your team in good times and in bad times.
As a fan, support your team in good times and bad times. I wanted to end this one, but I just remembered you mentioned about your area, Bavaria, or what is the name of the area?
Bavaria.
Bavaria.
It's a part of Germany, yes.
Yes, a part of Germany called Bavaria, right?
Yes.
So you mentioned that in every area or county rather, you have like administrations or structures. It's like it's like now here FKF, but in small counties. For you, how do you call it? The federation?
Yeah, so we have the big federation in Germany, that's the DFB. And then we had, like, for example, for us, we have the federation in Bavaria. We call it BFV. It means Bavarian Football Federation. And so the structure is that we have one big federation, and it always gets smaller in the single areas. So it's always good represented.
So how has that helped the German football?
I think it's just if you like have the only one big federation, then of course you focus on the big leagues because that was important for you. But let's say if you only be responsible for the football federation of Mombasa maybe, then Mombasa would be on the top priority for the one who is the manager of that one. So he would also have time to look for the youth football and for the younger kids. But if you only have like for the whole country, of course, you focus on the Kenya Premier League and the national teams.
So now you can do your last parting shot.
I just was happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and I hope you like it.
Thank you. That was Coach Hans from Germany. So make sure you've watched the previous videos because this was like segments, and he's told us so much that is done in German, and we could like adopt a few things here in Kenya and improve our football. That was me, Mara Times, and bye-bye. But before you go, ensure you've subscribed and you've ordered your merchandise for the Mara Times podcast, because we moved the podcast to a different YouTube channel. So guys, I'll link in the description box so that you can subscribe to the Mara Times podcast, where we talk about women's football and ways we can improve women's football, and link women enthusiasts, or rather people who are young women and girls who are interested in joining women's football but don't know how to do it. So guys, ensure you're a subscriber of both the Mara Times and the Mara Times podcast. Sawa guys, till next time, that was Mara Times. Sit down with Coach Hans, all the way from Germany. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tell them to subscribe.
Please subscribe for her.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.